Hi, this is Victoria with 12 Tomatoes, and today I'm going to show you how to do a Christmas tree cake design on a cake. So we have our standard 9-inch in diameter 3-layer cake. We frosted it with American buttercream. We have it all nice and clean coated, nothing really around it. On just a simple cake board. But in order to start our decorating, we're going to color our frosting. I just have the same frosting that I decorated the cake with. In order to get true jewel-toned Christmas colors, I have a little hack where you add a little bit of cocoa powder, followed by only a little bit of food coloring. Here's the red. And you just kind of mix that up. And the cocoa powder, when mixed with the food coloring, gives it a deeper tone. If you don't add the cocoa powder, you're just going to get a really kind of bright or pale pink. And also I added the cocoa powder to our green too, so we can get these really classic Christmas hues. We have all our colors ready to go, and now we're going to start with our cake design. A really good way to get a nice clean image on a cake is to draw with it. Do a little bit of preliminary sketching, and you're going to save yourself a lot of hassle. So just start kind of get in a shape you kind of want to work with. We're going to put a border on top of this cake, so don't make the tree too close to the edges. Just start with a simple triangle shape. Again, just think of it in shapes, less in drawing. You're gonna make it all fancy later on with the tips, so don't worry too much. So now we're going to work on our tree. We have our shell tip. Just gonna start from the bottom here, and you're just gonna fill it in. You start from the bottom, so that way the top is the cleanest point. And when it comes to frosting and using a pastry bag, the closer your hand is to the tip, the more control you have. If you start up here and you try to push down, you're just gonna get it everywhere but the cake. It's gonna go on the floor, it's gonna go on your clothes, it's gonna go on the dog. So you just add a bunch of layers. I'm just doing a rocking motion, kind of like a figure 8, just doing like that. Don't get shorter as you go up. But it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be even. It's not a cooking competition. It's just whatever mistake you make is going to be delicious. So we have our cake base, and now I'm going to use the red and just pipe upwards, give it some strength, give it some base, some grounding. And now we're going to work on the sides here. We're going to finish it off with some nice fancy side borders. I'm just going to work, before we start, with an S motion. So you're going to just do an S and then a reverse S, and that's all it is. It's a very simple way to look fancy. And if you have a cake turn, use it. But if not, you know what? That's what hands are for. Just kind of rotate it as you go. That you always are seeing what you're doing. Very simple. Just keep working it. Don't press too hard on it. Don't get too nervous about it. See if it get a little like I don't know, smear. It's all okay. Sprinkles will hide everything. You have frosting's your foundation, and sprinkles are your accents. So just working it. Just keep working it. And you can just kind of play around with this. If you don't want to do this design, practice some sort of movement on a piece of parchment paper. When you feel comfortable, just scrape the frosting back into the pastry bag, and it's all good to go. There's no mistakes here. So make sure that you're squeezing your bag that you have more frosting so it's not exploding out of the top. Just gonna do a different motion. Gonna do 3 and then pull. Do 3 and then pull. That's all it is. It's very simple. You can match the borders on the top and the bottom. You cannot. It's really up to you, but generally everything kind of matches when you have the same color theme. Gives it a little fun. Depends on how much frosting you want to eat. We have our final border. Make sure you're close to the tip so you have control over the bag. And then. So now we have all the borders complete on our cake, and we can just, give it a little accessories. I have some cinnamon candies and I have some confetti sprinkles. We're gonna, just dress up the tree. We generally would do. It's all up to your discretion. What you really want to do. If you were super fancy, you could add some stars or other sort of candies, maybe some mini chocolate chips. Trying to avoid some of the red here because we already have some red or green, but making sure that we have kind of looking random. It's like decorating a normal Christmas tree in the living room. I wouldn't recommend just throwing it all down. Kind of be a little gentle on the tree because it's very hard to pick this back up. So if you get some of these things on the side, just pick it off with your little fingernail. And if you can't later on, just use a toothpick. That you can always get it off with a toothpick. So just working it. Just naturally just put it where you think there are empty spots. You have a tree, and then you can just kind of go to town on it. Just generally. There's definitely a dividing line between people that like sprinkles and don't. I 100% disagree, but if you are in that field, you can leave this completely naked and full of sadness. But generally, just work on it. If you want to put it on the sides, what I'd recommend if you want to put it on the sides, put it on top of a cookie sheet so it doesn't, confetti your counter and kind of add for an extra mess. So there you have it, a fun, simple cake design for the holiday season.
12 tomatoes.